I am Rubick, the Grand Magus.
Yo, 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 what is up? It's Mini TV here coming at you again with another video. Today, we have a very, very interesting hero because it's probably my most played hero and probably one of my best heroes as well. It's Position 4 hero, and I think you'll love it because the hero is incredibly fun. It's going to be Rubick. The hero right now, I think, is really, really interesting because throughout kind of Dota history, the hero's always been good because of his ultimate ability, being able to use other people's abilities. But obviously, recently he got the, in the 7.23 patch, he got the +1 armor. So I thought it was time to play him. I mean, we saw him played quite a bit at the Singapore Open Invitational as well. So I thought I'd show you him today. So let's get to it. So guys, this is the game I wanted to show you. This is like an average kind of Immortal game. So sign off with items. Like, I've sort of seen two kind of good item builds for Rubick. I was watching a lot of like the top Rubick players over in Singapore, like Crit, and then like PAYW as well for Vici. And right now, like, they either rush boots, which I did this game, and then have like one set of tangos, or you can build into the Ring of Bassi like early, just because you'll be using a lot of mana obviously in the lane. But I think boots, particularly like in this game, it's really, really useful because the extra movement speed just allows you to obviously get away from any kind of like gank in the lane. Because if you don't have boots, you're probably going to be like, because you're very squishy as Rubick obviously, and your level 1 telekinesis is really, really weak, and it's not very long. So boots is really useful to kind of stay alive in the lane, but also it allows you to harass a lot better as well because you can kind of go in and out of like the creep aggro and attack them quickly. And also not only that, but going like again arcane boots early on this hero is really important. So like normally obviously in most lanes you'll have kind of some kind of starting items, maybe like a magic wand or a magic stick, maybe some more regen, or maybe like a brace for example. But on this hero, like just rushing arcane boots is really important because your fade bolt is the most important thing in any lane you play as Rubick, because not only is it like a good burst damage, but the creep or the hero damage reduction is really, really important because like 20-25 damage reduction on early levels is like nearly half cause damage and stuff. So it's really, really important that you have mana to keep spamming that out. So this lane in particular, I was kind of really, really, really scared of actually, because Slark's one of the best heroes against any melee cause, particularly against a hero like Pudge that early on is very, very susceptible. I mean, Keeper of the Light isn't the strongest laner, particularly if you don't have a carry hero that can benefit from his chakra magic, and Slark can't really spam out a lot of sort of spells, so can't really take benefit of that. So in some ways, this lane could have been a lot worse. But still, if I was playing the Slark against Pudge, I'd be very happy because I can just trade with him all night long and take all his stats. So as my job as a Rubick, I have to make sure that I right-click the Slark as much as I can so that he can't man up. Because if Slark can man up against Pudge, Pudge is just going to die. So I've got to make sure I try and right-click him as much as possible. So this is another kind of benefit of boots as well. I can kind of, even though Kotl is a really, really fast hero, I can kind of keep trading and harassing him, forcing him to, pop regen and things like that. So another kind of good thing, he pops a clarity, so I'm going to try and take that off if I can, but he runs behind tower, so I'm not going to be able to take that off. But yeah, so my role in this lane specifically is just trying to right-click the Slark as much as possible. So because if he feels that he's not threatened, that he can keep right-clicking the Slark, keep right-clicking the Pudge, Pudge is not going to have a game in this lane at all. So I've got to make sure that I right-click the Slark as much as possible so that he can't man up and keep right-clicking the Pudge. So whenever I have the opportunity, I want to try and right-click the Slark as much as possible. So just right-clicking him as much as possible, because look, Slark instantly comes up, starts right-clicking the Pudge, whereas because I'm right-clicking him, the Slark feels that actually I can't man up too much, so he kind of backs off. But if I wasn't hitting the Slark, maybe I was hitting the Kotl, Slark could continue right-clicking the Slark. So another really important lane kind of understanding of Rubick as well is that you have to get every range creep with your Fade Bolt. It has quite long range, and it's really important, obviously, to make sure you're getting the range creep because of the kind of the experience it provides in this lane. If every range creep gets denied, you're going to be in trouble. And obviously, my partner Pudge can't really doesn't have an ability to secure range creep, so I have to be the one to do that. So I'm doing a lot of right click harassment here, and this kind of just helps with the boots. I'm able to kind of just play around, have more movement speed to muck around. Obviously, I missed that last range creep, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's really important that you get every range creep as you can as a Rubick. So just securing it with Fade Bolt and a right click is really, really important. So obviously I have a little bit of low mana. So another thing I saw a lot of the pro Rubicks do is just sort of send out some mangoes if ever you need it, but still obviously rushing the arcane boots. So, I mean, right now I'm kind of trading really well, and like I had only 3 tangos, whereas like Cottle had 3 sets of regen. I only had 1 set of regen, so I'm kind of doing quite well considering he only has like a salve and 1 tango left. And Pudge is getting kind of decent farm as well. Like, considering he has the same CS as a Slark, that's very good, because Slark should be dominating this lane against Pudge, because he can just right click him over and over again. So that's good. I do end up buying a magic stick in this lane, and I talked about how rushing the arcane boots can be better. The reason why I bought a magic stick in this lane is because I know Cottle is going to keep spamming out with blinding light. He has kind of infinite mana with his chakra magic, so I was wanting to get stacks on my magic stick. So that's why I bought magic stick instead of rushing for the arcane boots. Some lanes, obviously, you really do need a magic stick, like playing against Bristleback or Bat Rider. But if you're playing position 4 Rubick, you're not going to find a lot of those lanes. Cottle can be one of them, but really rushing the arcane boots is really important. But yeah, the magic stick can be good as well. So again, just still kind of just right clicking the Pudge as much as I can, because I don't want him to kind of man up against his Pudge. I want him to feel threatened, and the best way to make him feel threatened is to keep harassing him over and over again. So that's kind of the main gist of this lane stage. So I'm going to kind of speed it up. Obviously, Fade Bolt in the range creep over and over again. What you can do as well, obviously, is if the lane is pushed in like this, you can pull the hard camp. But right now, I'm kind of happy just to keep like harassing them, because I'm kind of winning the harassment war, even though I kind of shouldn't be. Pudge is playing a little bit risky, really. Could have probably got pounced and die there, but Slark wasn't feeling it. Bought some tangos as well. Like, if you feel that you can't reach the arcane boots in time, because obviously I bought the magic stick, make sure you're buying regen. Like, you need to have regen to stay relevant in this lane. I wouldn't be able to keep harassing, wouldn't be able to keep using Fade Bolt and stuff if I didn't have regen. So really important that you do that. Obviously the magic stick probably was the right choice as well. I've got like 6 stacks already at 330. Really important that you make sure that you block their pulls as well. But right now we're not doing too bad. Like, we're kind of the same CS as Slark, which is kind of very good, and Pudge kind of gets stronger the more levels, because he's actually gone the kind of the tanky build of the 2 flesh heaps and 1 rot. So he's not really a threat in terms of kill potential, really. So I'm happy just to let him farm, because we don't really have much kill threat on the Slark until maybe level 4, when he gets like double in rot, or if they misplay, for example. So obviously, whenever they start manning up on the Pudge as well, got to make sure I use the Fade Bolt as well, because obviously the hero reduction damage is really important as well. And Slark mans up, and that's kind of the threat that you offer, obviously, as a Rubick. So really important you do that. Got 10 stick charges, making sure that you use them, obviously, because if they're maxed on 10 and you're not using them, then they're kind of getting wasted. So make sure you do that. Obviously, 5 minutes, get the bounty runes. Really, really important. Like, not only for yourself, but for your team as well. Like, it's not much really to say other than that. Still securing range creeps. So I go, as of skill build, 1 point in Arcane Supremacy early, and then after I've got that, I start maxing out the Telekinesis after, obviously, I've maxed out Fade Bolt. So the reason why I do that, because I've seen other Rubiks do other things. I've seen Rubiks where they like max Arcane Supremacy after maxing Fade Bolt, and I've seen some Rubiks like sort of PYW like max, not even touch Arcane Supremacy. But I think Arcane Supremacy level 1 is just a really nice kind of like just value point, like 14% spell amp, 20% debuff amplification, like really nice, just kind of single point in it. And maxing it out is only 4% on spell amp and 8% debuff, whereas obviously the telekinesis like kind of ramps up quite a lot. So I think having kind of at least 1 point in it is quite nice. Trying to block the Rubick so he can't pounce away, and we kill him as well. And now like this lane is kind of won, even though we should be losing this lane really. I mean, Clark has like decent CS, but because he was feeling threatened and Cottle isn't the strongest laner, we end up doing really well in this lane actually. So the one thing I should really be doing now that I kind of only can sort of see on hindsight is we really need to have like a ward really to protect ourselves, or maybe two, to protect ourselves from any rotation, because we're winning this lane, right? So Pudge is level 5 versus the level 4 Slark, I'm level 4 as well. So the only way we kind of lose this lane, because we've had this advantage, we've killed I think the Slark twice already now, is if there's a rotation from an enemy team. So, and obviously wards are free now, so just buying like a simple ward, obviously manning up, Pudge gets a little bit out of position there and dies basically, so that's on him. But yeah, just having like a ward in like here, this position, to sort of see a rotation from the Magnus perhaps, or one behind the tower to see a TP from the Treant perhaps, because we're winning this lane. Obviously, yeah, Pudge made a misplay there and ends up getting caught out and dies. But the only way we kind of lose this lane now is if there's a rotation, and then like someone else come into our lane, because right now the status quo is fine for us. So as long as the status quo is fine and we're still 2v2, we'll be fine. But anything else. So I've got my arcane boots now, and now this is kind of the point where, as a Rubick, you're really happy to play Dota, because you are only kind of restricted by your mana, particularly when the laning phase goes and you can start pushing out waves. You're only like kind of restricted by your mana. So as long as you have arcane boots kind of early, you're very happy. Kind of try and stop the pull if I can. So grab the wave, bring it over to Pudge. And Pudge wants a man up, even though I want to do the lane. So kind of miscommunication there, but I get the lane back, able to kind of deny these creeps as well. So nice little play from myself. The buying win late as well. So you really want to like have kind of any kind of movement speed as possible is really nice on any support really. Just running faster, having better positioning. And this is the kind of the support rotation I talked about really. We were doing fine in this lane, so the only way they kind of win is if they have an implementation from someone else. Pudge does a good job of actually kind of making a lot of space, so I can get some levels. I think nearly close to level 6 actually, because he runs off and does his thing. So he dies. I dodge the Slark pounce. Obviously I have 10 sticks charges. I was kind of trying to bait the Slark if I could, but I wasn't able to get it. I want to get level 6 really, even though I'm really low. And I saw the Slark was kind of low as well, and I was thinking maybe I could kind of snipe him. Treant was waiting for me to come back to base, but I was in the other position. We have level 6s now as well, so like we can kill anyone and anything. And we want to secure obviously the outpost. Outpost, obviously this patch is so important. So important. Even if you have to die for him, it's more important really. Nice steal from that as well, from me. And because we're level 6, we have the ability to outplay. Again, here comes the other rotation, Invisible Magnus. And we both die, simply. So yeah, and that's just kind of the thing. Like, obviously, if you're winning the lane, the one thing that you have to kind of keep in mind is that their enemy team is going to want to try and secure and kind of help out in the lane that they're losing. So having wards to kind of protect yourself, so that can't happen, really important. Oh. So, oh. So to be in, so when it comes to like this kind of stage of the game right now, where like the laning phase is starting to kind of break down because it's around like 12 minutes, our first tower has been taken basically top lane. What you want to be doing as a Rubick is asking yourself, how do we kill people? Like, who do I need to be with? Who do I need to play with to secure kills? Like, if I start playing around with my Shadow Fiend or my PL, can we secure kills? Not particularly, because you know I've only got like level 2 telekinesis. Unless the enemy team is really out of position, we're not going to kill them. So you kind of have to realize yourself, okay, what is the highest chance of kind of kill secure? And for me, this game is playing around with my Pudge. So obviously, if if Pudge is right if I'm playing around the Pudge and there's enemy heroes nearby, I can secure kills on the Pudge. The one thing is, obviously, and I'm just looking on this on the replay, makes me kind of realise that what I'm doing here is a little bit bad. I'm playing in the right position because I'm playing with Pudge. So either like we're pressuring the tower if no one comes, or kind of securing kills if the enemy team does try and defend. But me showing and giving vision to the enemy team, knowing that people are down here, is kind of bad, because obviously if they know I'm down here, they're not going to really be here, or they're not going to put themselves in a position that I can kill them. Whereas if I'm like either smoked or if I'm in the trees, kind of thing, like they might be more willing to come up to the wave because they know I'm not there. Because I show on the creep wave here, like Slark's not going to come up because he knows he can die. So really, I should be playing like in a position where I'm not being seen. But I'm just kind of giving them free information, basically. But if they're not going to come, obviously, like we should be taking this tower. And we kind of really in this position right now as well. I talked about in my Doom game how, particularly in the Dire off lane, it's really, really important that you take this safe lane tier 1 tower, and particularly as Dire, because obviously if you take this tier 1 tower, you have complete access into their jungle, because they don't have any shrine anymore. There's no shrine on the Radiant jungle now. So if you take this tower, sorry, you have access to their whole jungle, and they have no kind of easy access point to defend or to kind of fight as well if there's an engagement. So, you know, really, Jakiro should be bot with me for sure, because they've already taken the tier 1 tower top. He's not doing anything other than farming the jungle, and probably SF, although he's defending mid, maybe should be jungling down here, so he's ready to help us bot. Regardless, they're not coming. I can't do much about what my teammates can do other than asking them to come bot. And again, bot is really where the fight should be happening. If, you know, Jakiro and Shadowfiend are bot, maybe we could get things happening down bot. Instead, they see Pudge by himself kind of thing, and they go out and kill him, and I can't do much about it. So, yeah, so kind of an awkward positioning, but that's more of a team kind of fault in some ways, because I'm playing with the person I should be playing with, but Jakiro and Shadowfiend are just playing very passive. As a result, we end up losing our tier 1 tower bot. So it makes it almost even more difficult to push their tier 1. And Magnus does a good job realising actually how important to defend this tower is, so pushing out is really key. Pudge comes down bot again, and it's kind of awkward really. Like I've realised that Pudge kind of wants to sit in the lane, and this is kind of some awkwardness of playing offlane Pudge, really. Like, as a Pudge, you want to be ganking, obviously, but as an offlaner, you want to be getting farm, pushing out waves, so there's kind of a disconnect between the two. So, for the first sort of minute or so, I was like, I want to play with Pudge because I can get kills with him, but because he was just farming lanes, pushing out towers, and unless we do it as a team, we're not going to be able to do what we want to be doing of our objective. So as a result, I make a decision to say, like, okay, even though I should be playing in Pudge in an ideal scenario, it's not working out. So I TP over and try and make a smoke play, try and give the empower over to my PL as well. Try and be more useful, basically, to my team. Give the empower over, and I've talked about this in my coaching sessions, but I haven't uploaded any coaching sessions to YouTube, and I might do it later. But I talk about, particularly once the laning phase ends, you want to be kind of contesting 2 lanes at the most, really. Because if you're contesting 3 lanes, your resources as a team are very split, and one of the 3 lanes will get ganked, and they will most likely die. Like, Pudge is pushing out bot, I'm pushing out mid, PL's pushing out top. I mean, this one is a little bit less kind of integral into that kind of solution because it's so far back into the tower. So say this Pudge was this far up, maybe more into their side, and we're still pushing 3 lanes, Pudge would get killed because obviously if you have all 3 heroes or 3 lanes being pushed by your team, the enemy team will kind of converge on one lane and kill you. So it's kind of important for that to note. Slark gets aggressive, I lift into Pounce, lift into Ice Pool, and he ends up dying. So we give him a nice play because he did not acknowledge the danger. So, as in terms of items, as I'm giving my empower to my cause, This kind of comes down to a little bit of personal choice because I feel like the thing about Rubick, right, is that like I feel like a lot of what he is and what he does is very personal choice in some aspects. And when I was watching a lot of the pros, I see a lot of personal choice as well. In terms of item builds, in terms of skill builds, in terms of a lot of things, really. Talks about the whole telekinesis versus the arcane supremacy kind of maxing. But as for myself, in terms of, and I think Crit does the same actually, is the first time I go, and I know Crit does as well, is like going straight into Aether Lens. Now, for me, I think Aether Lens is an absolute must on this hero. I've seen Rubick's where they don't even buy it, they don't even touch it. But for me, I think Aether Lens is so important for a few reasons. Firstly, obviously the obvious thing is the cast range. So you'll be surprised how, particularly if you, like the telekinesis kind of cast range for me is just a little bit too low. 625, that's almost like attack range, and if you're in attack range, you're probably out of position. Or obviously with Aether Lens, it gives you an extra 250 cast range on top of that. So instead of it being 65 when it's maxed out, it's 775, right? Yeah, maths is hard, guys. Maths is hard. Yeah, cast range is like 775. Obviously, like you have the 125 cast range at 15 as well, but more cast range isn't bad. I just feel like you need Aether Lens to play this hero. Like your hero is all about kind of having good positioning and being able to kind of keep stealing spells and using spells at a critical time. It's not just using spells whenever. It's all about the critical timing, and having Aether Lens allows you to do that. I've seen other Rubiks where they rush Blink, but I end up going both actually, particularly in games like this, and I'll explain that later. So that's one reason why I think Aether Lens is so good, because your hero relies so much on positioning that Aether Lens just helps you with that because you can position better. But another key aspect of Aether Lens that is kind of often overlooked as well is the whole mana regen aspect to it as well. You get 3 mana regen plus 450 mana, and I talked about why rushing mana boots is so key on this hero, is because your mana is kind of a restricting factor of what you're able to do. And obviously Aether Lens does that, and there'll be a lot of times, particularly like in this game, where I'm just kind of farming a lane by myself, kind of trying to put pressure on the enemy team by pushing out lanes, but also getting farm for myself, because this hero can do a lot of work with the right amount of farm. There's an engagement top. I'm wondering whether I should TP or not, and that's another thing. Like particularly as a support, is you should always be aware of every kind of engagement. Wondering, should I TP? Can I be useful? Obviously, I saw SF with no HP. Like my TP would have been a 3-second cast, and by that time, if I TP'd up there, the fight would have been over. So I decided not to try and have an impact elsewhere. Jakiro and Budge's bot, see if I can kill Slark, for example. So yeah, always be looking around the map. But yeah, so an Aether Lens kind of gives you that mana regen to keep able to have a presence on the map, keeping using Fade Bolt, keeping pushing out lanes, etc., etc. And also the nice thing about if you rush Arcane Boots, that you can split the energy booster into Aether Lens as well, which is quite nice. Which I'm about to do now, I think. But make sure, obviously, if you're going to be splitting the Arcane Boots into Aether Lens, that you kind of do it so that you've already used your Arcane Boots, so it's just kind of extra value. Although I'm not doing it right now, and I have no idea why I'm not doing it right now. It's just kind of an interesting thing whenever you watch replays. So, just talking about like small engagements like this. One thing, obviously, I didn't know what I was going to steal because I didn't really see him in terms of where he was playing. But what you can do, and you'll see a little bit later into this game as well, is, as I TP mid, trying to sort of sap on the Magnus, is particularly like the good strength about Rubick really is, I mean, this isn't the great, like obviously the greatest spot to explain it, but obviously what I'm trying to say I had stolen, I don't know, Beastmaster Raw, or I don't know, Magnus's Shockwave, for example. The whole strength of this hero is that you kind of have potentially 6 spells to use. Obviously, this one's your passive, so you got your Telekinesis, your Fade Bolt, your Spell Steal, but then you have like one in this slot here. So say this is Shockwave, for example. So I go up, take an engagement, use Shockwave, and then say Magnus skewers, and I'll take skewer. So then I've used Shockwave, and then I've used skewer in the same engagement. Obviously, and that's just having that extra one spell. So trying to obviously steal a spell you haven't already stolen, particularly in engagements, can be really important. I'll probably explain that really terribly, but hopefully you get the gist. So he steps out of position, he dies. So another thing, like particularly about Rubick as well, a good Rubick players will always utilize every spell to the highest ability. Obviously, in this case, I had stolen Hawk, and I had used Hawk like down bottom. There's like a little bit of vision down bot that I'll show you. That was, yeah, that's my Hawk, not his. So making sure like you use like all the abilities you like stolen basically, and that kind of comes from, and use it well as well, and that kind of just comes from kind of experience really. So obviously I use the Hawk over, we don't have any vision over in their jungle, I'm going to be pushing down bot, so I send the Hawk over into their jungle like over here, so then I can see the Magnus and I'm kind of safe to push in bot if I want to. So I ended up kind of failing here a little bit. I ended up buying Aetherlands and Arcane Boots. I talked to you about how you can split the Arcane Boots into Aetherlands, and for most games, like and I've seen at the Invitational as well, the Singapore Open Invitational, is that they always go after they split their Arcane Boots into Aetherlands, as they go into Tranquil Boots. Having extra regen is really nice. So ITB top. I saw that Beastmaster had used Raw. Keeping an eye on the fight is really important as well, so you know exactly what you can steal. I steal the Raw, lift into Raw, and yeah, easy kill onto the Beastmaster as well. And that's another important thing of having an eye on the team fights as well, because if you TP in, you know the last spell that an enemy's used as well, so you know exactly what's going to be there. Keeping an eye on the map, looking over at mid as well. I see Jakira kind of dead, so I'm not able to assist too much. So speeding up a little bit more. So this is the kind of point I was trying to make before. Okay, so sometimes I see this happen. Oh, also quickly before I go on to anything more, you see how I'm like level 12 and I still only got 1 point in my ulti. Now, again, this comes down to personal preference because I've seen other people do it. And in this game, there's actually a possibility that I probably maybe should have got 2 points in Spell Steal. But the reason why I don't go 2 points in Spell Steal is if you actually look at the ability, it doesn't really offer two. It doesn't have it's the second kind of level of it isn't particularly great. You have a 60-second increased duration and a 2-second reduction in cooldown, which really isn't that much in comparison to maybe perhaps another point in Arcane Supremacy or a point in talents or whatever. And that's another thing as well. I didn't put any talents in. The level 10 talents aren't particularly useful. The 6 damage obviously isn't great because you're a support, you're not playing core. The 200 health can be good, but as long as your positioning's good, you shouldn't be needing the health. So I end up putting another point in Telekinesis and Arcane Supremacy. And another thing that I've watched again, all these pros, sometimes they're like I saw mid one, because obviously he was standing in for Yapsor at Secret. He ended up going like the plus 60 damage talent, which is interesting because like he was pushing out lanes and that actually helps him and stuff. But then I think I saw Crit as well. Like he didn't go any talents, he maxed out all his spells first and then did it. So again, it's very, very situational and also very kind of personal preference as well. But I talked about why maybe perhaps Spell Steal would be good in this game. Is for the extra duration. 6-second duration is really useful, particularly if you steal an ultimate ability like Primal Royal, because I can have that kind of for a very, very long time. And this is the point I was trying to make earlier as well, as I'm getting stalked by a Treant that I didn't even realise. Is so once you have an ultimate ability, particularly like a kind of a kill and ganking spell like Primal Roar, is kind of holding on to that spell as long as you can, waiting for the next cooldown to come, because then you can end up like going in, Primal Roaring, and then stealing another spell, and then using that spell as well. So you have like you're almost stealing 2 spells in one spell steal, if that makes sense, because you've already had that one from before. So I'm kind of wanting to hold that if possible. Obviously, really important as well when you play against Slark is kind of waiting for the Dark Pact to finish and then using Telekinesis. And it's kind of a bit of a game of chicken in terms of who can last longest. Because obviously, Slark will want to be using Dark Pact preemptively to kind of counteract your Telekinesis. So, but obviously, if you use Telekinesis, it instantly get purged off. So you have to wait for that to happen before you can lift. But obviously, I said, look, guys, we can fight top. I've got Primal Roar in 10 seconds, and this is the importance of kind of holding on to it if we can. don't want to kind of commit too much, waiting for the Slark to get out of position. He already used Dark Pact, and he ends up dying as well. So now Primal Roar's been used, now I want to steal another spell as soon as possible. Waiting for the RP, take the RP. Unfortunately, I don't have a Blink Dagger, so I'm going to have to walk in, but it was enough to secure and win the team fight, really. And that's just kind of... And I had 2 ultimates in 1 spell still kind of thing. I end up getting tipped because it was a nice play. And that's kind of a big thing, particularly in this game, obviously. Like, there's some games when you play Rubick where... you're not particularly looking to steal any one spell. But in games like this, it's really important to go into team fights thinking, okay, what do I do? And how do I play the team fights? For me, I'm thinking of, I need to steal kind of mainly 3 spells, if possible. Kotl ulti, Magnus ulti, Beastmaster ulti, and maybe Treant ulti as well, if I can. Although I think the other 3 might be better because Slark can obviously Dark Pact out of the Treant's ulti anyway. So, kind of important to keep that in mind. And so, but some games obviously, like you might play a Rubick where there's not particularly great ultimates to steal, so you kind of just be using as much as your spell steal as possible. So now I'm going to talk about like getting the Blink Dagger as we try and save this Jakiro. So so I always buy Aether Lens. Every game I play Rubick, it's the first item I go. I think it's so valuable in terms of the cast range and also for the mana regeneration. But as for the Blink Dagger, I don't always go Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger is more situational. And in this game, I think it's a perfect Blink Dagger game because there's a particular spell I really need to steal, like Magnus RP, for example, or Primal Roar. And if I have those abilities and I have Blink Dagger, those spells need a Blink Dagger to be really used effectively. So therefore, I can steal it, Blink RP, and like the team fight will be won basically because of that. Whereas some games where I'm not playing against a really important ulti to steal, so if I'm not playing against Enigma or like all these heroes that have these big ultimate abilities, say I'm just playing against I don't know, random heroes that are good spells to steal, like perhaps a Lina, Laguna Blade is quite a nice spell to steal, but I don't really need Blink Dagger for it to be effective because I can use that from range, for example. Then I might buy a 4-staff or Yules or something else. Whereas in games like this where I really want to steal like RP, I need a Blink Dagger because that's going to help me either A, steal it because maybe I'll be out of position, I need to blink, then steal it, or if I steal it and then I can use the RP with a Blink Dagger. So that's why I end up going Blink. So in terms of talents, like I said, level 10 can be, or sometimes you can even miss talents, but for me personally, like, I'm not going to go plus 60 damage, and if I was going to go plus 60 damage, it would be at level 10, because I want to get the value out of it as much as possible. Because I know mid one did it. I mean, and in some ways I kind of like it, but perhaps that's just because mid one's being the core and he's loves it. But for me, 200 health is fine, and you can get it late. Another thing you can do as well, which I probably should have done on hindsight, is obviously, I don't know if you know, but if you get level 15 and you haven't spec'd your level 10 talent, you can actually spec your level 15 talent without specking your level 10 talent. And in this game I should have done it, because 200 health talks about it's like it's good, but it's not that impactful, whereas the 125 cast range is really good. So what you can do is, even though it doesn't look like you can do it, what you do is when you're level 15 and you've maxed out all your spells, which I've done here, I end up getting another point in spell steal because I've realised how important the duration can be, particularly if I've got an RP I want to keep it. Is you just click the talents and then you just click the level 15 talent you want, and obviously in this game it's going to be the 125 cast range. Most games it is going to be a 125 cast range. There's very, very small scenarios where the 75 bolt hero attack damage is good. Meepo is especially one of them. Minus 75 on all the Meepos is huge, so if you're playing against a Meepo, make sure you get that one. But yeah, so you just click on the 15 talent and you get the cast range, because that extra kind of getting that 15 talent before the level 10 one can be useful, and in this game it would have been pretty useful, but I just kind of forgot to do it. But you can get level 15 talents before level 10. So I'm like saying, let's try and fight. I've still got RP from the last fight. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. I think it ends up running out very soon. That's it, yeah. So I'm like, let's try and fight before RP, before this RP gets wasted. But yeah, my team's down bot. Pudge is kind of dead, so we end up just backing off, and it's not worth it. So don't need to force things, and sometimes that's a problem when you play kind of any hero really in Dota, but particularly a hero like Rubick, I end up getting picked off because I think Magnus had a Shadow Blade and they end up committing on me. I didn't have RP, didn't have Spell Steal to cast to get the Cotwall either, so I ended up getting picked off. Kind of bad positioning by me. Kind of forgot that Magnus was there and ended up getting caught out. And we all died, so a bit of a bad play by myself. And they end up getting away. But we do trade my life for Slark, so it probably wasn't the worst fight in the end of things. We end up killing Cotwall as well, I think, as well. So not too bad. So yeah, next item. So right now, like, after you have kind of Blink and Aether, you have a choice really. Do you need more positioning spells or positioning items like Force Staff, perhaps like Yules as well, to kind of you know, save yourself from a few things, or do you go straight into Ags? Now, Ags is a fantastic item on Rubick. I end up trying join this fight. It's quite loud actually as well. Let me just try and, as we end up catching the Slark as well. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. Let's turn this down a little bit. Yeah, so you have a choice really. Do I need extra positioning, or do I want to have Ags and be more kind of useful in the team fights? I mean, obviously Ags is so good because of the cooldown reduction, but also it gives cast range as well, extra cast range on your ulti, so it's even better as well. Where's Ags? I doesn't even say. But it gives extra cast range, reduces cooldown, and obviously brings the Ags version of the spell as well if it's an ultimate ability spell. But obviously, because of this game, I kind of felt I needed extra positioning, but also because I'm playing against Slark, Force Staff was really, really needed. So I would have went Force Staff into Ags, waiting for the RP. I thought he used RP, but took the Skewer instead. And we don't end up killing the Magnus because he's really tanky and he has BKB. So that was kind of my bad, really, because I kind of baited my team, kind of skewered the tankiest target. So my SF kind of dies for my sins, and I said sorry because it was kind of my bad, really. So yeah, so I end up going Force Staff instead of Ags. I will be going Ags after Force Staff if I remember this game. But yeah, so, and obviously this is the kind of the point I'm talking about. Like, if your team's not fighting, really important that you as a Rubick can do, because you have kind of good wave clear, obviously with your Fade Bolt, and if you have any other spells, is to kind of keep waves pushed in. Gives you extra farm as well, but allows you to kind of take bounty runes and thing as well. We scan them doing Roche. So I kind of want to make sure that we try and engage and fight in Roche. Skewer onto 3, but kind of skewer out of the ice path. Again, that was kind of my bad. Did 2 kind of bad ice path play. I end up buying back because Roche is really important, so buying back is really key. Even though I don't have TP, not the greatest buyback in some aspects, but we really wanted to take this this Roche knowing that we were ahead. Didn't want to give it to him for free. So again, just trying to wait on the wings, if possible. Again, kind of, I got saved there. So let's just talk about this, because this is again was bad by me. I was, and this is the point I tried to make earlier, but didn't really maybe emphasize it. When you play Rubick, but when you play any sport as well, don't feel that you need to do like so much, like, because in the few of those engagements, first of all, the one down mid where I skewered the Magnus down, back down his nearest tower, I skewered him back to my team, and we ended up dying because, you know, Magnus is really tanky. And again, in this skewer here, I end up dying. I kind of skewer into 3, but no one's there. I have this problem, and I think others do as well, particularly when they play Rubick, is they try and overplay. Whereas really what I should be doing is I should be waiting in the wings, waiting for one of these big ultimates. Cottle, Magnus, or Beastmaster ulti. Instead, I see Magnus skewer. I'm like trying to make all these crazy skewer plays, and, you know, trying to be like, you know, Dendy on RP or whatever on Rubick, and you don't need to. Like, if you commit and show your hand like that as a Rubick, like, you're just gonna go ahead and die. So it's really important that, like, I blink in, like, try and make all these crazy plays with, like, Skewer, again going on the Magnus who's so tanky. I end up getting Force Staff by the Chikura, who saves my life there. But if I don't get that, like, I'm gonna die. So I don't need to kind of make all these crazy plays. What I should be doing is this, sort of staying in the high, like on the high ground, like on the outskirts of the fight, using my abilities when I need to. You know, Magnus was about to skewer away. I then lift him when my team's already on top of him, killing him. You know, that's when I need to be using it. They use 2 buybacks here, and Roche is really low, but we end up just kind of like getting back and allowing them to take it, seeing as they committed a lot of buybacks. If you remember, before the Roche fight, we were actually 7k up, but now with those buybacks, we end up being 10k up. So, in the end, pretty good trade for us overall. As we just let him take Roche. So, I haven't really talked about some neutral items as well that are quite useful. So as we just kind of go through here, so neutral items on like Rubick, the ones that are really, really nice, like tier 1, I'll slow this down actually, it's big. Obviously, Keen Optic is really nice on him. The shovel can be good because you normally have kind of spare slots to use it. Faded Brooch is good, Arcane Ring is good. As for the tier 2, the Clumsy Net's kind of nice. Because of kind of extra kind of ability to kind of keep them in place. Philosopher's Stone as well, because you're not really attacking. And then the tier 3, like Quickening Charm is really nice, but Telescope especially is great, because again, it's all about kind of having extra cast range, being on the outskirts of the fight. Really, really key. So again, I'm kind of playing away from my team at the moment because I have a TP, and also I'm a good hero to kind of push out lanes. And it's important that you do push out lanes. It's the most important thing in Dota. Keeping lanes pushed out, really, really key. And so I'm just sort of staying in the trees, knowing I have vision by my outpost that if I need to get away, I'll be fine. Plus I have Skewer and Blink. So I'm able to kind of push the lane out by myself, whereas most of my team can't really do that. So if you're the only one that can, make sure you're doing it. I'm staying by my outpost because I was scared that maybe Trent was going to come, who has invis, and obviously the outpost would give it to me as well. They end up going on my PL, and they were all bought as expected. I end up doing quite a nice kind of juke here. I have the Fairy Fire, which is quite nice. Important that you use that early as well, because it has a nice cooldown, as a low cooldown. I end up getting caught by the tree, and I end up dying. But they've kind of committed a lot down bot, and this PL ends up kind of cleaning up, basically. They kill the Slark, they kill the Beastmaster, and this PL is like so nearly close to dying, but they're in like kind of a bad position to all be keep fighting, really. And as a result, we end up killing them all. So pretty good fight overall, and obviously he's getting his heart regen back. Perhaps a bad stun from Jakiro. If he ice pathed on respawn would have been a bit better. Instead Magnus gets out in these fights. But good fight overall. Made him use the Aegis, and only I died as well as Pudge. So overall pretty good. So that's kind of where 4-staff is kind of useful to have. Obviously if I had 4-staff, then I probably would have been able to get away there. Obviously really important as well, like, as you can see, like I'm dead and I'm just kind of looking around the map, seeing what items people have, clicking on them overall. Really, really important you do that, because you've nothing else to do, basically. So again, like right now, like we kind of know we're super strong. They don't have buybacks on the Magnus, because they obviously bought back for the previous fight. And PL, as you saw in that last fight, as long as he doesn't get kind of jumped on, like we can win a team fight. So we're 13k ahead, so we're pretty strong. So as long as like we don't think anything super stupid, Slark ends up getting picked off by a nice ulti from the SF, and with him being dead without buyback, like we just want to push, basically. Magnus is trying to stop us. We end up seeing him here. I end up stealing RP, again waiting for my blink, but didn't really see a good opportunity to do it. PL was on the outskirts. There's a Cotwall there. SF was already dead. So instead of me kind of just wasting the RP for no reason, I end up keeping it for an opportunity like this. And he ends up dying, I think? No, he doesn't actually. He ends up getting saved, but Beastmaster comes in and dies instead. So, or maybe, I don't actually remember this game too much. Yeah, it is. And they all end up dying, actually. Yeah. There you go. And no buyback, obviously, because they used buyback for the Roche fight. And that's kind of the game, basically. Overall, hopefully that was a kind of a decent outline. I'm just wondering if there's anything else I've kind of missed as we end up seeing them sort of taking their base. Let's have a look. Anything else I've kind of missed I need to talk about? So talks about like neutral items, obviously, and the talents as well. Overall, like not too much really. Like I said, I talked about like how force staff and ags can be different as well. If there's anything I've missed, like I'm more than happy to kind of answer. I know I've done it before in previous videos. Like just write a comment, ask me something, and I'll try and reply to you in the comments as well. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you in the next one. If you liked it, please do like and subscribe as well. I'm really close actually getting kind of partnered with YouTube as well. I think I'm a few subscribers away. So if you can, get your friends, get your family to subscribe to me, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you later. Keep binding and grinding. Peace out.
My thirst for knowledge cannot be quenched.